What's going on, guys? How y'all doing? I'm MUGZY, upcoming hip hop artist from Sydney, Australia, of the land down under. And right now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my origin story for the Oz project. Shout out thanks to my man Justin for getting me in touch about this, because, like I said, man, any exposure is great exposure. We're getting my name out there to the world, or just even helping the next person that's probably going to be tuned into this. So let me take you way back to my origin story, kind of like Wolverine, Hugh Jackman style, because he's here, obviously in Australia as well. But yeah, I got involved with hip hop when I was 14, man. Like in high school. I was kind of like the shy kid, that no one wanted to really be around, and like I used to get punked and bullied a lot to the point of it escalated me to think suicidal thoughts, and my, not to sound gloomy or drastic or nothing like that, but I put my family through hell back when I was a teenager. And we always say that as a teenager, it's the steps to grow yourself into a man. It's like the stepping stone kind of thing. And they were worried because like they didn't want to lose a son and that type of thing. So I remember they were getting me like psychologists and therapists to come in, and like they were like, get on these antidepressants, or maybe you should change schools, and or like if you change schools maybe it might happen again, and all this sort of stuff. And that was going on. The peers in my school just didn't give a crap about me. The teachers, I came from a pretty rough school. The teachers were like, you either got to get your HSC or you'll amount to nothing in life. They were pretty brutal. If you weren't the so-called Mr. Popularity, you're kind of kicked into the dust. So, like, obviously it's not their job, but hey, like, what can you do? I'm more mature, I'm more older now, and that school can suck a dick. But yeah, I remember just thinking, man, like as a teenager, you can't really think into the future. You always think into the now, and you just think, man, if everything is going on the way it is, why should I keep living? Like, who's gonna remember me? Kind of thing. I'm better off if I just don't exist anymore. And I remember that around the early thousands, we always say that the golden era of hip hop was obviously the 90s, but I feel like the early thousands era was the plateau, the like the pinnacle of the hip hop culture. And I remember being a young teenager just going through nothing, like listening to MTV, BET, VH1, and just seeing the likes of like 50 Cent or G Unit, or like Tupac and that kind of thing, and just being like, I want to be like those guys. I want to be like those guys on TV that just are urban and gritty and just don't give a fuck about nobody. Not give a fuck, but like got that attitude of like, I don't give a fuck. Like we're just because I'm different, like just doesn't mean you have to like judge me, kind of thing. And obviously, like I'm a white boy myself, and I could relate to Eminem. Obviously, we had us before him, like R.A. the Rugged Man, MC Serge from Third Base, Beastie Boys, even the likes of Vanilla Ice. But I feel that M had the most impact on the scene, and yeah, I just remember thinking, all right, the peers around me hate me. The teachers aren't having my back, my grades are failing, I don't want to put my family through this hell anymore. And so at first I started dropping down rhymes, and I remember being a young artist and thinking, I want to sound like Eminem and like do that whole twisted kind of, oh, I hate the world, and like morbid kind of thing, like, oh, I'll kill you and this kind of thing. And I thought, man, that's nothing like me. It's just gonna come across corny. And like they say in hip hop, you got to be original and authentic. Even though that's the kind of side that we lost now. We got like a lot of fake artists, but that's in another time to talk about. Shout out to Iggy Azalea, not. But yes. So I started dropping out rhymes just about like my depression and just like how I want to make it in the industry kind of thing. But I knew if I want to progress as an artist, I would have to write full songs, not just rhymes. So bar for bar, lyric for lyric, chorus for chorus, and did like kind of a rough demo, sent it around to a lot of people. And there was a company that was up here on the Central Coast where I live called Mad Musicians Making a Difference, and at first I thought they were a record label because they had these posters in the wall of their office of like hip hop, DJing, and breakdancing. And I walked in with my demo and I said, "Yo, like I'm MUGZY, I'm an upcoming, well, you know, not upcoming anymore. Like I'm a hip hop artist. You know, can I get on your label?" And they thought that they were like, "Nah, we're not a indie label. We're a youth organization, you know, but we do a lot of hip hop programs for the youth, whether they be, you know, depressed, homeless, drug abuse, that kind of thing." And I remember I did their Sound Foundations course, which is learn how to perform more better on a mic or perform in front of a crowd or in a studio. And I think that was for like 6 months or something like that. And so I got invested into their family a bit. And, you know, coming to like sort of my end of high school days, developing more at my craft and learning more about the culture, like, you know, the 70s, the boogie down Bronx, even, you know, the highlights of the Australian culture when it kind of you know, like came into the 80s, 90s, but it kind of peaked into the thousands. You can hear that in like, you can hear me preach about that in my track Aussie Aussie with an American Attitude. Sorry, I had to think about that. So yeah, check that out on my page. Yeah, so like I had to learn. I learned about that for a bit, and so I was out of high school, and I was with Mad for a bit, and they saw that I was doing incredible things in my career, and a lot of people assume that like I have a manager, a street team, or a label behind me funding me all these kind of opportunities because I've got like worldwide radio play, interviews, features, fan base, 2 albums, all that kind of stuff. But to be perfectly honest, it's just my hustle and drive to try and make this a living and try and make this a passion. Just like realistic for me to someday, not to work a 9 to 5, just to do music, like as me, like full time. That's how hard I work, you know. And you know, I feel grateful that a lot think that, you know, not the fact that I've got a manager or nothing behind me. It's grateful that some actually take the time to look at what I've done and be amazed by how much I've put in, like how much work. It shows me that, wow, I'm actually doing something good. I'm not sitting back waiting for it to happen. I'm actually pushing myself time in and time out to make it, you know. And so like throughout my career, I've had some incredible opportunities. I remember my 3 biggest 3 was you know, I wouldn't say in order, but I'll just tell them, you know, my 3 would be in 2012, number 1. In 2012, I was doing like a whole ton of gigs to try and get my name out there, whether it be open mics, youth center gigs, pub gigs, or talent competitions, whatever the case may be, right? And I remember I came across this gig called Urban Star, and it was kind of like a talent competition catered towards, you know, hip hop and R&B. And I remember finding a little bit more details about it, and there was 3 judges on the night. And I remember one of the judges was a guy called Marcus Pennell, who used to work for Sony. He was a producer for Sony and Def Jam. Now, to the hip hop community, or just anyone watching this video, Def Jam is one of the biggest hip hop labels ever to exist, you know. And I just remember he had like a house here in Sydney. Rest in peace to Marcus, by the way. A shame that you're gone, man. But yeah, I went down the night and I knew if he's there judging, critiquing, I have to give it my all. Like Eminem said, you only get one shot, you know. And on the night, I think there was about 30 contestants, and all of them, I kid you not, did cover songs of other people's material, right? And I was the only one that did original material. And I think there's footage of it on YouTube somewhere. But I performed my track, Keep On Rapping, and 2 of the judges scored me with a 0, I remember, and it came to Marcus, and he was doing the whole Simon Cowell treatment, which was, you know, he would sit there and make you wait. And I thought, man, like, if 2 of the judges have scored me with a 0, like, what do you think Marcus is going to do? Of course he's going to score me with a 0. I should just walk off the stage right now. And I remember he gave me a 10 out of 10, and it just blew my mind knowing that someone in his caliber that's probably worked with us, I look up to, is giving me that score. And like, you know, and it just gave me the insight to think I want to continue this dream of making music and having these wow factor moments, you know. So that was my number 1. And shout out to him, man, because we became like great friends afterwards. My number two would be, like, I'm from a small coastal town called the Central Coast. Hip hop's alright here, but you obviously got to go to the CBD for that kind of stuff. I remember just promoting time in and time out and building my fan base, building my craft, and just building my connections and opportunities. And I became number one in the Reverb Nation charts for hip hop for Central Coast at first, which was impressive. Then it hit Sydney, which I was shocked about because Sydney is like one of the biggest cities here in Australia. And then New South Wales, a state, number one in hip hop for the state of New South Wales. And it just shocked me knowing that I have no, support behind me. I'm just a one-man army from day one. And I'm like, I'm like number one, like, one man army and a number one in the hip hop charts. So that was insane. And I'm number 5 in all of Australia. So I'm trying to hit that number 1 spot for all of Australia. So that was my second biggest. And my third biggest, still to this day, it still sends butterflies down my spine, because it shocks me that this actually happened. And surprisingly not, before I made this video I was actually watching the game, the 76ers versus the Cavaliers. But back in 2016 I got rotation on this station. I think they were in California, called LAF Underground Radio, and they played my song Can't Stop Us, and I was constantly tweeting it, promoting it, putting it in rotation. And I remember each time they'd put a new artist in rotation, they would tag a big time artist or a big time celeb, like, this week so and so we're playing, this week hashtag 50 Cent, or so and so, this underground artist we're playing this week hashtag Drake, or something like that. And I remember when it came to my week, it was like LAF Underground playing Can't Stop Us featuring Pablo MUGZY hashtag LeBron James. And I remember the next day, because each day when I wake up, I get my morning coffee, I check Facebook, I check emails, and see, which avenues and stuff I've got myself on. And I remember in my emails it said, LeBron James tweeted to your track. And I remember looking at it thinking, this can't be real. It's got to be like a fan page. It's too good to be true. Like they always say, it's too good to be true. And I remember going onto the page, and it was his legit millions of followers, legit LeBron James page, and he commented on my track saying, dope track, keep going for your goals and dreams, man. And it was just like knowing that I was a kid, like a teenager with nothing, like just suffering from depression and wanting to like put my family through that and end my life, and not sound like moral or drastic or nothing like that, but knowing from that to what I am now, I've escalated as an artist, is just insane. Knowing that like the Michael Jordan, like they always call him the Michael Jordan of this era, is listening to me because I'm an underground artist. I took the time to check my track. It was just, words can't even explain. Like that's probably one of the biggest highlights of my career. So obviously, like I've done incredible opportunities in my career, and I'm kind of rambling on a bit because I kind of suck at these blogs, but I like shout out to my man Justin and the Oz Project by doing this. I thought about doing it, and hopefully you can appreciate the view as well. But like when like another artist reaches out to me and like take the time to check out their music, or even just like hey, can you support my page, or can you share my stuff, I always take the time to help that person in need. Because when I was going up as an artist, like had my demo and stuff, I would like hand it out to everyone, or try like artists back then who were elevated or escalated to where I am now, and they'd be like, yo, who's MUGZY? Give us a good reason why we want to roll with you, kind of thing. And it just pushed me into like this criticism, or pushing me into the back, saying, man, like if everyone's so critique about this, how else am I gonna excel? But I grew out of that. I found my own lane, my own avenue. So when artists and stuff, or just anyone, looks at me and looks at what I've achieved and be like, hey, I've only got a few followers, I'm just starting off, you might not take the time to listen to it, but can you anyway? I'm not one of those guys back in my past, man. Like, honestly, if you're an upcoming artist or an upcoming whatever, and you want someone in my caliber to check it out, I will take the time to check it out, because I know that the struggle that you're going through to start off, because I went through it as well, and we're all in this together, and we just because like that next person has the same goals and dreams as you, but their quality of work, or their quality of support isn't up to your standards. Why does it give you the right to put them down, kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? So like, I always look at that next person and think, hey, he's got the same goal. Hey, he or she has the same goals as me. Like, I'm not going to put that person down. I'm going to take the time to check him out, and that brings good rapport, good respect, and just all around like love. Like, they remember you in the long term of just thinking, like, MUGZY was a real humble artist, and he took the time, so it builds connection and respect as well. But hopefully that gave you a little insight about my journey and my career. So yeah, I don't know the tally. I'd have to open up my computer, because I've done so much in my career, like radio play, interviews, features. But 2 albums, I know that much, because I'm working on a 3rd at the moment. Oh, and also acting stuff. I could have went into that. But that's what the crazy thing about music. It led me into the acting world, and I was constantly I started with extras roles, but then it led up to featured roles and that sort of thing. But yeah, like the journey never sleeps. No, the journey never stops. Never sleeps. The journey never stops. So hopefully I'm not rambling on too much, but hopefully you guys who are watching this video get a few insights about where I came from and where I am now. But shout out to my man Justin, shout out to the Oz Project, and check them out, because they're doing incredible opportunities for upcoming and unsigned artists like myself, have a chance to be heard. And if you want to check me out, if you're an upcoming artist or whatever it may be, check me out at my fan page of MUGZY, MUGZY. To the worldwide viewers, that's MUGZY. Give me a thumbs up, send me a message, all that jazz, you know what to do. And yeah, keep supporting real hip hop for 2018. I'm out. Peace.